planning your own in-country travel is going to make your semester at sea experience so much more fun and so much more rewarding because you're going to get to choose what you want to do, make your own schedule, and choose who you want to travel with. But it can be sort of complicated planning your own travel for the first time, especially if you haven't done it before, if you haven't done solo travel, which I totally hadn't, and I had no idea what was going on. Like, gonna be honest, I did not know how to plan things for myself, and I didn't really know where to look to learn that. So that is why I made this video, to help you guys out, because in my last video that was plan your own in-country travel, there were some remaining questions, especially about how to book planes, trains, and automobiles, which is exactly what we're talking about in this video. Woohoo! Perfect for you guys. So like and subscribe if you want me to keep making videos like this, and leave any other questions you have down below, because like I said, I make videos about the questions you guys leave because I know that that's what you're wondering about. So let's get into my tips for traveling and planning your own transportation when you're in country. Let's first talk about planes and flying. As I mentioned in a previous video about the Wi-Fi situation on semester at sea, there is not much Wi-Fi that is usable, especially on your phone, so you cannot book travel through your phone. You can either use one of the 4 computers in the library on the ship, or you can book travel in the country before the country that you want to fly in, if that makes sense. Book it while you're on land before you get back on the ship to go to the next country. And you are probably going to want to do this because you're going to want to book your flights at least a week beforehand so the prices aren't sky high. And also you don't want to book them too early because then things could totally change. There could be a civil war that breaks out, or a global pandemic or something like that that makes us have to change course and go back to a different country or go a different way. So if you book flights way too early, before you even get on the ship, plans can totally change. Even friend groups can change. So do not book things too early because you never know what's going to happen or if something is going to change along the way. If you're booking flights for the day that we arrive in port, do not book them for the morning. Before noon, no. Before 2 o'clock, no, don't do that. Probably not, because in some ports, they have to take our passports away to be processed, take them off the ship to a different location, look through all of them and then bring them back to us, and that can take a long time. They usually tell us not to book flights before 4 p.m. on the days that we get to port because you never know if they're going to take our passports away. So you can book it earlier if you want, but that is super risky and you might not be able to get your passport back in time, and then you're going to miss your flight and waste your money. Also, when booking returning flights back to the city where our ship is docked, plan those for the night before we leave. So it's a good plan to stay as long as you can and then fly overnight, because then you're not missing any part of your day anyway, and you'll get back with plenty of time. And then if your flight is delayed or something happens, if it's canceled, then you might still have time to take a train or a bus back to our port city and make it to the ship in time. You have to be back by on-ship time, which I've talked about in my policy video, but if you're not, you'll have huge consequences, and the ship might actually leave without you. That has happened before. If people aren't back, we can't stay in a port forever. We paid to be there, and also we have to get back to sea to get fresh water again. So they can leave without you, and you'll have to pay for your own flight and your own travel to get to the next country we're going to, and you'll miss all your classes. Again, huge consequences. Do not plan your flights too close to the time we're leaving or too close to the time that the ship arrives. My next tip is to pack lightly when you're going on these planes, because planes within the same country, if it's a small country, if you're thinking about the United States, that's a big country to go across. That can take a 3-hour flight, but if it's a little country, it can take I don't know, less than an hour to fly to where you need to, and the planes that they're using can be pretty small. So they're not gonna have space for you to check bags for sure. Just bring a carry-on, bring a backpack if you can, bring as little as possible so you're not lugging around a huge bag and so it fits on the plane with you. And then of course, I never flew anywhere on my trip, and I knew a ton of people who did because they wanted to go to specific places within the countries. In Brazil, they wanted to go to Rio, but we were too far away from that to get there by a bus or a train. But I was personally fine with staying where I was, and I'd always take trains and buses to places in the country that were 8 hours away, but I never flew anywhere, and that was totally a good option too because it saves you money. But if you want to take a flight to see somewhere that you're never going to see again, a specific city, a specific monument, totally go for it. It's totally worth it. Find friends who want to do it with you and have the same budget, and then fly with them to a different part of the country. Now let's talk about trains and buses. So you're going to need to look up the train or bus schedule for the country that you're going to, for the city that you're going to before you get there. So use one of the computers on the ship and just look it up. So if I was in Ecuador, I looked up bus from Guayaquil to Baños, and it showed me the routes, it showed me the bus station, and then you have to look up how you're gonna get from the ship to the bus station. Sometimes it's within walking distance, like in Portugal and in Morocco, we walked to the train station, and that was close because usually like the port is like a good part of the city where there's a lot of transportation going on. But then when I was in Ecuador, we had to take probably a 30-minute Uber or taxi ride to get to the bus station. So keep that in mind. Also, like planning for costs and also planning for how much time you're gonna need to get there. And when you look these up, you know, it's probably gonna be in a different language. Like it's probably not gonna be an English bus schedule or an English train schedule. You're gonna have to translate it, just like copy and paste it all into Google Translate and see what it says. It might not have specific times that trains or buses leave, so you might have to go to those stations on the day of, or like the day before you want to leave to a different city, and just see when they leave. So when I was in Costa Rica, the only way that we could figure out like when the buses left was to go to the actual station, and they'd be like 9, 10 in the morning, and we'd be like, okay. But it's probably not in English there either, but just do your best. If you need to, type it out on your phone in Google Translate and show it to the person, and then be like, hi, can you help me? And they'll like type in their answer so you can read it. Like it's not too scary, it'll be okay. Just do your best and then try to figure out when the buses and trains actually leave. So now let's talk about pricing. So buses are cheaper than trains, and trains are cheaper than airplanes most of the time. That is a general rule I found. So I took a bus in Costa Rica for like 2 hours for $3. I took a bus in Ecuador for like 8 hours for probably $10. And then I took a train in Morocco that was like 2 hours, and that was like $14. And I took a train in Portugal that was like for an hour, and it was about $5. So if that gives you like a good idea of the ranges in different countries, then I'm glad that helped. If that was just random numbers and you were like, what is she saying? Then like, I'm sorry, but I tried. I also took a ferry in one port. I took a ferry in Brazil for 2 hours, and I think that was like $15. So that's like the sort of like price range that you can like have to get to totally different cities, which is actually pretty great. And it saved me probably $500 each port by not taking a flight, so keep that in mind. It'll save you a ton of money to take buses and trains. And also, like my number one tip, if you're gonna go somewhere, to take a bus in the very early morning or at night, or a train at night, because then you can sleep through it. You won't waste any of your time like traveling around in countries, and you'll wake up in a different place. Because buses and trains take longer than planes, but if you're sleeping anyway, like the time doesn't really matter, you're not wasting it. So that is a great tip. And then for buses and trains as well, pack lightly. Pack even lighter than if you were flying. Like bring a crossbody bag and a backpack, and that is it. Do not bring anything else, because they're either gonna make you put your stuff under the bus or just hold it with you. Do not put it in like the overhead parts of trains or buses, because it can get stolen. I knew people whose stuff got actually stolen, and that is no good. That is never good. So just pack so lightly that you can either hold it or put it under the bus. So these were my tips for traveling overland on planes, trains, and buses. You cannot rent cars with Semester at Sea, so do not try to get a car or a boat. You cannot drive your own boat. That's just, I'm throwing that in here at the end so you don't get in trouble. But I hope that this was helpful for you guys. Let me know if it was in the comments down below and what you learned. And please like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in my next video.